Hey everybody, welcome to the video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to perform a content audit on your website using Hubspot. If you're a subscriber to Hubspot, setting the spreadsheet up for the content audit is pretty easy to do. The actual content audit process itself is going to take you some time depending on how big your site is. But I want to show you how to get everything set up so you can start that content audit process. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is log into HubSpot. We want to hit the drop down menu under reports and click on the page performance tool. Now what we're going to do with the page performance tool is we're going to download all the pages on your website. So to do that, we want to select all pages and we want to select the time period all time. And then we want to export this data. So we scroll down, and on the right hand sidebar here you're going to find a link that says export all pages to Excel. So we click that link, and in a few minutes you're going to get an email from HubSpot that's going to say that your export is ready. So you're going to open that email and you're going to download the spreadsheet, and it's going to look something like this. Now we're going to take this spreadsheet and we're going to slice it and dice it and move some things around, and this is what it's going to look like. So the first thing we did is we just moved this URL column a few columns over to the right. We still want it on our spreadsheet, but we want it kind of out of the way for our audit process. But we still want it on the spreadsheet so we can access this piece of content anytime we want. So let's look at the final spreadsheet. So what we did here is we added 7 new columns, and we'll talk about what each of these columns is for in a second. And then we highlighted all the data, and we went to our insert tab here and inserted a table. So the reason we made it a table is when it's in a table form, it's really easy to slice and dice the data and sort and find everything you're looking for really easily. So let's talk about the columns that I added. The first column that I added was type, and this is the content type. What is each piece of content that you're analyzing? Is it a video? Is it a case study? Is it a blog post? So whatever that piece of content is, what type of content that is, you're going to input it into this column. The next column is the stage, and this represents the point in your sales funnel where your buyer is at, or where that piece of content most appropriately fits in. So if you think about it, your buyers don't just wake up one day and buy your product. They go through a process, and we call that the buyer's journey. There's a lot of philosophies or ways things that people call this process. A lot of people call it ADA, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. For this video, I'm going to make it really simplified. I'm going to talk about 3 different stages: the awareness stage, the consideration stage, and the decision phase. The awareness phase is, somebody realizes they have a problem and they first start their research. They're just looking for information. They don't even know really what the options to fix that problem is yet. So at the awareness stage, you just want to really give them a very top of the funnel educational piece of content. So that could be a blog post. Now, as they move further down the sales funnel, they go to the consideration phase, and this is where they find out what their options to solve that particular problem is that they're having, and that you could serve them at this point in the sales funnel. At the consideration stage, you could give them you could serve them up a webinar, you could give them an ebook. So they're a little bit more farther along in their research process, and so that's the kind of content that you want to serve up at that stage. Now they're going to move further down your sales funnel and get to the decision phase, and this is really where they're kind of comparing you versus your competitor's solution to their problem. So at this phase, you might want to serve them up a free trial or a demo, maybe even a case study. So each piece of content is going to fit in to a certain stage in that buyer's journey. So whatever stage the piece of content that you're looking at is in or fits in the best, you want to add it to that column. The next column we're going to talk about is persona. If you're doing your content marketing correctly, the first step in that process should have been to build out a persona, or your ideal customer. Now, to build that persona, you might want to do customer interviews. You might want to interview people that have gone through your sales cycle but decided to go with a competitor. You might want to talk to your sales representatives or your customer service representatives. And you want to take all that data that you got from those interviews, you want to compile it, and then you want to create a profile of your ideal customer. And what you should do next is create content to answer the questions of that persona. So when you go through the content audit process, each piece of content should align with a persona that you're trying to target. So that's what you're going to input into this column. The next column is the questions. What kind of questions or pain points do those personas that we just talked about have, and which pieces of content answer those best answer those questions that your personas are having. So each piece of content is going to answer a question. You're going to put those questions in this column. The next column is whether you're going to use this piece of content or not. Now, as you go through this audit process, you're going to find some old, outdated pieces of content. You're going to find some content that just really isn't well done. And at that point, you've got to make a decision. Am I going to keep that piece of content and refresh it and update it? Or am I just going to cut it off and get rid of it? And so that's what this column's for. Are you going to use it? Yes. Are you going to use it? No. Or are you going to refresh it? Links to column. What other internal pages on your website does each piece of content link to? Now again, as you go through this audit process, you're going to find that some of your best content links to some of that old, outdated, crappy content. So you need to make some decisions there, and you need to either find some current content that's better and more appropriate that's going to help you convert better, or you need to create a new piece of content that you can link to that's an extraordinary piece of content. Because the goal here is to create awesome content that's going to help you to convert your leads into customers, convert more visitors into leads, and really help you meet your content marketing goals. So the final column that we're going to talk about is notes, and this could be anything that you think is appropriate. You know, it might be something where, hey, we need to add a video to this piece of content, we need to add some images. Whatever you think is appropriate, you can add notes into this column. Now, as you start your content audit process, you want to start with the most viewed pages. And you want to analyze all the columns that we talked about, because you want to make sure that each piece of content that you have on your site serves a purpose. You know, it's targeted at a persona, and it is targeted at a persona at the appropriate stage they're in their buyer's journey. You want to make sure that they're linking out to other good pieces of content. So as you go through the process, you really want to start at those pages that people land on the most. Now, this content audit process is extremely important to your content marketing strategy, and it's really its success, and it's going to benefit you in a few different ways. First of all, it's going to help you to find pieces of content on your website that are less than adequate, that aren't going to convert well, that are just really make your brand look bad. So you can find those pieces of content, you can decide to cut them off of your site or update them and just make them better, more extraordinary pieces of content. So that's one benefit. The next benefit is going to help you to find the gaps in your content strategy. So what you can do now that all your data is in a table is you can sort each of these columns and look at the data that you want to, and really search for and find the data that you really want to focus on. So if you had one of your personas, you could sort by that persona to see all the content that was targeted towards that persona. And what you might find is that you've got a ton of content at the awareness stage of the buyer's journey, but you don't have a whole lot of content in the consideration stage or the decision stage. So that tells you you've got a gap in your content. So you need to fill that gap with new pieces of content, so you know exactly what pieces of content you need to put on your editorial calendar to start producing in the next few months. So that's another benefit from doing this audit. Now, the final benefit is it really helps you to align your sales and marketing. So you can hand this document to your sales team, and let's say that they're talking to a prospect, and the prospect has some questions on, let's just say, SEO for instance. Well, now the salesperson can sort this column, this question column, to find all the pieces of content around SEO. And it can take a look at all the content that's most appropriate, and it can pick and choose which pieces of content that he wants to utilize based on your audit process to send to that prospect to have better, more relevant sales conversations, and also to help them close those deals and get more customers for your business. So that's a big overview of how to start this content audit process. I hope the video helped you out. And the actual content audit is probably going to take you a little bit of time, but it's a very important process in your content marketing strategy and its success. So do it. Also keep an eye out for future videos that we're going to be putting out. I hope you got a lot out of the video, and I'll see you next time.